Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, I think we are live right now. Yes, we are live. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, I think we are live right now. Okay. It's alive. Hello and welcome to TouchPoint with Tayo. And the show where everything matters. I'm your host, Tayo Owoye. TouchPoint today, we engage African realities. Welcome to TouchPoint with Tayo. We engage African realities, we explore vital issues that concern Africa in the diaspora and beyond, educating minds and addressing trendy issues. And today on TouchPoint with Tayo, we are still on the new horizon, and we are talking about women in tech of Black heritage. And I have two guests with me. You can see them, beautiful young ones here joining me live in the city of Glasgow in our Jambo Radio studio. And I have Blessing Adogame. You met her before, an educational technology professional, the author of the book Boundless, Living in a Boundless World. Did I get it right?
Bound to be boundless.
Bound to be boundless, yes. She's a global speaker, and most importantly, she's the pioneer of Black Wings UK at the Writing the Code. Listen, you're welcome to Touch with Tayo.
Thank you so much.
And I have also Imisi Fakunle, one of the ambassadors at the Writing the Code UK, and product manager at Deutsche Bank here in the UK also. And Imisi, you're welcome. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So as you know, and as we do here on TouchPoint, you can join the conversation on our YouTube page as we are all going. You're watching it on YouTube page right now as we all go on through the conversation. Send us your comments. I would like to hear from you and your contributions on the topic, New Horizons, Women in Tech of Black Heritage. Today is quite different. No breaks. No breaks. Yes. And just for us to delve into this issue of women in tech generally. I was reading some statistics in the course of the week. I mean, just preparing for this show, which is from Nathaniel Merchant, which was a publication at the World Economic Forum in April 2021. And he said, according to the career website from DICE, 57% of women working in technology are faced workplace gender discrimination compared to only 10% of men. This next one is quite interesting. Black respondents reported more racial discrimination in the tech sector than any other group. Gender and race were also found to influence respondents' feelings to burnout in workplace. However, workplace diversity has shown to boost everything from innovation to profitability. What's your take on this? Let me hear from Blessing first.
It's striking, honestly, hearing those statistics, and it's striking, but I also have faced that reality, so it hits close to home. I think when I heard that, especially when it comes to burnout, the first thing that I thought about was even my experience as a woman in tech, where I would feel like I have to put in 10, 20, 30 times more work than my counterparts. But then there's a lack of recognition on that side, or a lack of celebration on that side. But then my counterpart who puts in the bare minimum work will get more recognition, more celebration. And I think that's something that, at least for me, led to burnout, because it was like, if I need to work more hours and put in more work to show that I am even to the same level as my counterpart, then that will lead to burnout, and it's not sustainable. But then on the flip side, if I now stoop to the same, I guess, like work level as my counterpart, then people just won't see me at all. And I think that's something that I've had to face, whether like just understanding what's the balance between, okay, almost overdoing my work so that people can at least see me or hear me, versus just basically not being heard at all.
Wow. Imisi, what do you have to say to that?
Yeah, I mean, as Blessing said, it's really striking to hear. And the thing about intersectionality is that you're getting hit from different angles as well. So it's not just the race lens, but it's also the gender lens that comes into it. And you can never know which one someone's trying to target. So I think it's really unfortunate to hear that, actually. And I hope things are getting better. And I hope, like, in our discussion today as well, we'll like explore that more. But yeah, it's never good to hear these things.
Yeah. But I mean, let's go into some of the personal journey that you've had. Imisi, what was your first experience with technology? I mean, and what inspired you to pursue a career in it? You had a BSc in computer science and AI.
Yeah.
Wow, that is powerful. I was just imagining, how did you get to combine both? I know they are on the same path, but why? How did you get to choose a career in technology?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think my path to tech was probably very nerdy. But basically I was that kid who got given a laptop before I got a phone. So I really had the opportunity to like explore the internet. But I found when I was quite young, I wasn't that interested in the content of the internet as opposed to like how they make it and how they get that content to us, and how it's visible. And I remember playing around with like the inspect component of websites and like looking at seeing all the HTML and CSS that each website is like made up of. And I think at like 5 or 6, that was just such an interesting thing to me. The fact that you can just use a couple of words and then bam, it's here. And I don't know who made it, but I can see it. So it made me feel like you could do anything with technology. So that's one thing that really drew me to it. And when we got to expand on a little bit of coding in school, I remember doing Scratch, and that was one of like probably the first piece of homework I actually enjoyed to do, because it was like, oh, I can tell this little sprite to do something based on like a couple of words and how I sequence things together. So yeah, that was really what begun my interest in technology, and I decided to take it further. I think I was doing like an extracurricular programming club outside of school, and I got to like learn Python, and I was just drawing from my past experience with Scratch, even just the drag and drop interface, but like understanding that like these conditions lead to this outcome. So yeah, I think just early introduction into tech, and then also not like realizing, oh, this is coding, but just realizing, oh, this is something I find interesting. And I didn't really have time to build a lot of preconceptions like, oh, I'm going to be bad at this or anything like that. So that was really good for me. And yeah, one thing or the other led to studying computer science. Yeah, with AI is basically like we had just more AI focused like specialisms. So with computer science, it's quite broad. So you have like some degrees give you the option to specialize. So that's what I did. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. What a interesting journey. Or I mean, I'm still coming to Blessing, but I mean, if we look at your role models in the technological world, and who were your role models, or who are your role models now, or where that led you to choose that, then who are your role models right now?
I think a key role model for me was my dad's cousin. She was a robotics engineer, and I think she worked a lot in or she is a robotics engineer, sorry, and she worked a lot in like Silicon Valley. And I think I didn't realize that that was even a career option, like to be a robotics engineer. I was like, wait, what? So just giving like awareness of that, and then also just understanding like the technology that came behind it. I did not know that we were in a day and age where like robotics was made into a role. So things like seeing her progress and seeing her just like being amazing really helped me to be like, oh, okay, this is something I can do. And if I'm already interested in it, then I might as well like try to pursue it. Like my parents as well, like just seeing them like being really good leaders and like really competent at what they do really encouraged me as well. And like they just have like a different like approach to work and the value of education and things like that. So yeah, I would say these are like three role models that come to mind.
Wow. So if I mean we've heard of Blessing's story before. But if I may ask, Blessing, I know there's some young guys out there who want to know who were your early sources of inspiration, role models, in terms of your entrance into the technological world.
For me, it's a bit different. I guess my role models at the specific point for me to decide to continue with my tech major in the US were students as well who were a few years older than me. And so in the US, I started university as a computer science major. And I did a few classes and realized that this coding thing is, I don't know if it's for me. I started to doubt, I started to question. And ironically, there were two people that I looked up to. I didn't have a personal connection with them, or I don't even know if I had spoken to them ever at that point. But I remember in my first year seeing a girl called Halima who was from Nigeria and was studying software engineering at Drexel University. And I remember seeing her and be like, whoa, I want to be like her. And it just, I mean, as a Nigerian and someone in tech, I was like, okay, that's someone that I could aspire to be like, even though she was maybe like 2 or 3 years higher than me. But at that point, seeing her actually made me decide to change my major to software engineering.
Wow.
Of course, again, I got into software engineering and I was like, hey, this thing, I don't know. But again, I saw another woman called Jordan, who is, I believe, from the Caribbeans, and she was studying information systems with cybersecurity. And again, I looked at her and I said, hey, wow, I want to be like her. And I switched my major finally to information systems with cybersecurity. But I think what helped for me, especially in university, was to see other students that were in higher spaces than me. And that helped me to be like, okay, she is maybe in her 3rd or 4th year in uni and she's studying this. If she's there, then me as a first year, I can get to that point as well. And so initially, those were the two people that I looked up to and helped me stay in tech.
So let me delve into the Black Wings UK's role in all of this technological story. Can you tell me more about what motivated the launch of Black Wings UK and what the initiative hopes to achieve?
So rewriting the code came to the UK in August last year. And since then, we've reached over 2,000 women in tech in the UK, which is an amazing number to reach in a year.
Wow.
Something that we've also found was that 31% of these women are of Black heritage.
Hmm.
For us, it's not just a number. We can boast about saying that we have 500 women that are of Black heritage. But we knew that this was an opportunity to create like an official body to support these specific women. You mentioned it at the beginning about the statistics and everything like that. As much as we understand that women in tech are a minority, there's also the blatant truth that Black women in tech are almost like a minority of a minority. And so we wanted to launch Black Wings during Black History Month to show our support, not just for minorities in tech, but not just for women in tech, but for minorities in tech as well. And I think this is a perfect time to show our support of that. Not just to celebrate us as Black women in tech, but to support as well, because I think that's equally as important. I mean, I've given you the examples just now about the 2 Black women that I saw that helped me get through the 5 years of university. And we hope that Black Wings UK can serve as that, whether you're a student or an early career professional as well.
Okay. Is it just only in UK? Can someone outside of UK also be part of the writing the code the women of Black heritage outside of UK? Can they also have an opportunity at this?
Yeah, I mean, rewriting the code, it's a global community. We have members are all across the world. Whilst Black Wings UK is specifically for members within the UK, mainly because our events and everything like that will be centered in the UK. But that doesn't mean that anyone else from outside who is of Black heritage couldn't join, especially when it comes to more of the like virtual offerings that we have. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll still get to how they can join this, because we know quite a number of people also watch it outside of UK, US, Canada, and everyone from all over the world are watching this. So, if one, I may ask this, that as women of Black heritage in tech and Black Wings UK, how have your backgrounds influenced this career journey, this story about Black Wings UK, and what were the challenges that you faced? I mean, as an ambassador, let me first ask from Imisi before Blessed gives a view.
I think in terms of challenges that I've faced in tech, if I take it back to uni, like obviously the majority demographic studying computer science, but also teaching computer science in uni is very different from me. So one thing that I faced was like trying to find like common ground or like familiarity in the space in my uni, because our like similarities weren't very obvious initially. And it was quite isolating actually at the start, because I saw like my course mates be like very friendly with the lecturers and stuff like that, because they connected on, I don't know, this like book that they read or something, or like this interest that they have that's quite niche. But so I think that was one thing, like having someone else with like maybe who looked like me or who was like more similar probably would have helped like right at the start. Obviously I was able like throughout the years to like find people that I could connect with on that level, some who looked like me, but some who are also completely different backgrounds as well. But it just took that time. In terms of like in a workplace, I would say maybe it's similar to what Blessing touched on, but like just being underestimated, based on like, if I was to set up a meeting with someone, is that always that fear of like, if they see my face or my name, they'll automatically like expect less from me. And just like working towards that, when I realized that it's something that you have to you can't just go into like meetings or like interactions with that attitude, because then it will actually cloud how well you can perform. But yeah, it's trying to like quieten those thoughts down as well is still quite a challenge.
No, wow. Blessing.
Yeah. I would actually add on to that and say that I remember in my first, I guess, physical internship that I had, as I was preparing to go into the office for the first time ever, like corporate America, I didn't think that preparing meant figuring out whether I needed to have whether it was okay for me to wear my natural hair in the office versus a weave or versus braids. And I remember it wasn't something that I was thinking about at all until it was a conversation that I would have with my peers. And I was like, oh, this is an issue, but what does my hair have to do with the work that I'm doing? But I mean, I was not pleasantly. I was surprised when I went into the workforce and I realized that, oh, it does affect like what Imisi was saying, that how does even just the way you look or even just what your name is, how does that affect the work that you do? But at the end of the day, it is something that they'll talk about. Even something as small as going from braids to your natural hair, and people think that you've cut your hair off. And it's like, but no, we're in a meeting, we're talking about the work that we're doing, and you're talking about my hair. But these are all things that it just, as Imisi said, like if you don't kind of learn to separate yourself from that, then you kind of go into everything with that mindset of offense that whatever I do, everything that people are going to think about or look at is just what they see. And it's tough, but it's also a reality that, as I said before, you can put 120% into a piece of work that you're doing, but your counterparts or your leadership will only see 80% because they've already capped you at some point. And it's a sad truth that I think can only really be fixed-ish if there's more diversity just in general in the teams that you're working in, the industries that you're working in. Otherwise, if you're the only one, then it's if you think about it, it's just easy to stand out because you are the only one.
Yeah, it's something related to the last question, but I mean, if we look at Black with UK, what are the systematic challenges or barriers do you believe that this group intends to help overcome for Black women in tech? Blessing.
I think if we go to almost like, if we look at it as like a chicken or egg problem, I think that there is a systemic pipeline problem in the sense that we already know that there's less and less professionals in the workforce who are in tech, but these professionals don't come out from nowhere. They start as students. But now we see that because there are less professionals, it means that there are less students that become professionals. And so there's that, I guess, challenge or that concern of, do Black girls even feel supported enough to pursue a technical degree in university? Do they have the adequate funding? Do they have the adequate community, the resources to even get through to the point that they become a professional? And I think with Black Wings UK, we focus on not just the students, but the early career professionals as well. But for the students specifically, we want to make sure that the same way I had my issues when I was a student, that I was just everywhere and anywhere. And it really took being part of a community to make me feel like, okay, I can actually graduate and go into the tech industry. We want to make sure that every student that is a Black Wings member has that support, has the community that they need to know that, okay, it's going to be difficult, it's not easy, but they can get through it at the end of the day.
Let me ask Imisi on sharing your own experience. You're an ambassador of Black Wings UK. In terms of women mentorship, access to resources, career opportunities. I mean, you are a product manager in Deutsche Bank. Sometimes it's even, I mean, I'm not German or anything, you know.
That's a good.
So in the bank and the networking for growth. and success. How has Blackwings UK helped you to achieve this? Before blessing TouchPoint on the issue of mentorship, I would like to hear your own experience about it.
Yeah, I think first of all, Backwinds UK hasn't officially launched yet, but even despite that, like the experience I'm getting with RTC of just that kind of sisterhood that it creates and that community that it creates is just amazing. Like even though it didn't have like a technical name, actually how I like my first RTC event was a dinner at Enish, which is like this Nigerian restaurant. I still remember that Ayamashe. It was so good. And it was just
it's there.
I had rice and ayamashe, and
Oh,
No,
it was
snail.
good. I had snail as
Snail as
well.
well.
Oh, I had
snails.
it was
Wow.
so good. Yeah, I still remember it. I think about it sometimes. Yeah.
You eat pounded yam at all there?
No, I didn't have it there. It was a bit too much now. I had to rest with the rice and the snail. Yeah. But it was like just having an event like that in just a women in tech community. I was like, wow, okay. So they actually like care about, coming to meet us where we are and just come like trying to create that space of familiarity as well. I don't think I'd ever met like I actually maybe just one or two other people, but I hadn't really met like other Black women in tech who were in a similar life stage as me, or like early career or just finished uni, that kind of thing. So to meet them in that space and also to get to eat like the food that I like with them as well, there was something really special about that. And even just like as an ambassador as well, like the support that we get, especially from Blessing, and also just like all of the work that we get to do, like it's such a brilliant opportunity to like pursue tech advocacy, and it's very suitable for me because it like aligns with my life and that kind of thing. So it works out really well. So I think the opportunities, though it's not been officially launched yet, the opportunities have not been few and far between. So I'm really looking forward to the launch as well to see like what more that we can do.
Okay, so listen, in terms of mentorship, there are quite a number of young people who will be listening to this podcast. How do you intend to, young ones in the secondary schools? We're talking about women, but I'm also like seeing them as future women. So, is there any, I got a question like that, is there any opportunity for young, either secondary school girls, before I talk about boys? Okay.
I mean, there definitely are. I wouldn't say there are many communities in the UK for young girls pursuing tech or computing. Specifically, though, rewriting the code focuses on undergrad students first, through graduate students, and then early career professionals. And so I think in order to be a member of Rewriting the Code, you have to be at least 18 years old. Whilst that is the case, I think that what we try and hope that we instill in our members who are students or even early in their career is to give back and almost be that mentor for those are 18 and younger, because of course to get to where we are now, whether we had a direct mentor or an indirect mentor, there was someone to kind of influence us in a way. And so I think it's important for everyone to know that you also have the power to influence someone else, the power to influence the next generation. And I guess to the younger generation, to the girls who are pursuing tech, I would say that there are different ways that you can find mentorship. It could be watching someone's YouTube video about what they do a day in their life working at Microsoft or whatever. Reading articles. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be a direct mentor that you're talking to all the time. But yeah, I think that's what I'd say so far about mentorship and young girls getting into tech.
So if we look at, so how does Blackwings, we've seen statistics concerning the number or the percentage of women in terms of leadership opportunities, especially Black women in the technology industry. How does Black Wings UK, I mean, launching in some few days' time, how do you hope to, how does the organization hope to intend to promote leadership opportunity for Black women in technology industry? Not
Right.
just in UK, I mean, globally.
Yeah. I mean, specifically in the UK, I mentioned how 31% of Black Wings members in the UK are, of members in the UK are Black Wings members, or of Black heritage, and 55% of that number are actually early career professionals. And
Wow.
so we understand from that there is a need, not just for community, but also what you're talking about, like the resources or the opportunity to advance and to, I wouldn't say climb up the ladder, but to get into the leadership positions. And I think what we at Black Wings are trying to tackle is how do we provide the opportunities to get there? How do we provide connections? How do we provide resources for early career professionals to know that they can be confident, but not just confident in themselves, like they're backed with data, they're backed with the resources to be able to have conversations that they're able to get promotions, because Black people or Black women are less likely to be promoted. And again, that could be for a number of factors, but we want to make sure that our early career professionals have all of the facts that are needed. They have the confidence needed to have those conversations, and they also feel empowered to be like, okay, I can be at the top as well. And I think this is important because then when you have those people that are at the top, younger people can look at them and be like, okay, I want to be like this person, or I want to rise up like this person. And yeah, I think that's what I'd say.
Oh, okay. Let me go to innovation for the future. I mean, if there's anything to talk about technology, it's all about innovation and it's all about future. And I would pose this to Imisi, since you have AI is something that is rocking the world right now. It's rocking it, but it's also doing some good things. No, let me see something else. So, which of the technological innovations or trends are you most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, I know it's a buzzword, but literally like AI, but specifically bots and what they're doing with them. I think I remember one of my first like optional projects in uni, like we can make anything we want. I chose to make a chatbot because I'm really fascinated by just automating the like beginnings of like any help processes, or like adding them to services or things like that can just like improve the user experience. And yeah, just different AI models that have been introduced like over the years to help with this, like OpenAI, who are the people who created ChatGPT. They've recently introduced a new model called Strawberry, and it's kind of it's human-like intelligence. So it can like strategize and like refine ideas, recognize mistakes, that kind of thing. And I don't know, I feel like the simulation of human intelligence is something that fascinates me. I know it also has like its repercussions, and I also like just looking at, oh, how can we innovate, but also like I'm really big on things like informed consent and how can we actually ensure that we're like putting the right ethics in place and like trying to eliminate bias every step of the way as well. So like everything to do with the technology is something that I'm interested in, not just the innovation part, because I feel like that like the other part should definitely not be left out as well. So yeah, I think chatbots, like how we can use them, is something that is quite like interesting to me.
Okay, so if you're going to take the next trend or innovation aside from AI, what else would be?
It seems a bit relevant, but robots.
Robots.
Yeah, robotics is something like, as I said, one of my key mentors was is a robotics engineer. And I feel like just the integration of like robotics and automating different processes, like mostly like factory working, I think like where it could be seen in that, or like more dangerous labor works where like it has like a high death rate, that kind of thing, how that can be used, or even just as support as well. I did this like work experience at this lab in Harriet Watt, and they created an assistant living lab for people with dementia, which basically like everything was equipped with robots, like floor vacuums, the floor had sensors, like you had robots to hand things over, personal assistants, and it's just that kind of thing. So like people with like dementia and Alzheimer's could live fulfilling lives because they have the support that they need, and they don't need to wear like a bracelet, and they don't one like in the room checking in like on them 24/7, you know, they can have like the closest thing to like a normal life or that kind of thing. So just like where we can use robots to help for good, and obviously like to limit the taking of jobs as much as possible.
So, I mean, there are quite a number of fears concerning robots, AI, about these two elements taking over human work and making people unemployed.
Yeah.
Blessing. How do you think Black Wings UK can position Black women in terms of these advancements and also make it much more advantageous to human beings? Before I come to Imisi's response, I know that will be facilitated.
Oh, that was a good segue. I think if anything, what we want to encourage Black Wings members to think about is not just to be an employee or to work for someone and help them build their mission or their vision, but for Black Wings members or just Black women in tech in general or just women in tech in general, to have their own vision and to build their own vision. And I think that, I guess, diversity of thought, that diversity in general helps to build more diverse products and services. Because something that I think about is that if you have a team that's working on a product or working on a service that is not diverse, then that product or that service is going to be a reflection of who's like the input, basically, who is working on those things. And that could mean it will only cater to a certain demographic, or it could mean it will only meet certain requirements. But when the team itself is diverse, whether it's race, whether it's gender, whatever it might be, it means that the products or the services that are being produced will also be diverse, because you have different people pitching in, oh, we haven't thought about accessibility, or oh, we haven't thought about this demographic. And so it doesn't quite answer your question, but that's how I would frame it in terms of making sure that we are in the room and we are able to make our voices heard so that products and services will be more diverse than they are now.
I think you hit the whole thing on the air, because you're talking about products and services, and Imisi is into product management. She's a product manager and stuff like that. So how do you think the issue of AI and robots would hate more? Because quite a number of people are asking, am I going to lose my job in the future?
Yeah, the thing about AI and robotics, I think it's going to revolutionize the way that we work and the things that maybe we consider jobs as well. And all that it will take away, like I think it will bring so much more as well. Like it's just going to change the way that we do things. And I feel like something that Black Wings can help with as well is just like educating and like skills development, because technology is constantly moving at such a fast pace that like these things, like we don't have a lot of control over them, but we do have control about like what skills we choose to try and develop in response to the change that's happening. And it's just like finding awareness as well, like knowing what skills to develop, or like knowing like what areas to look into. So I feel like that's how we can help. But yeah, with the concept of AI taking jobs, like I understand like it's a key stress, but first of all, there's quite a lot of jobs that are still quite immune to this, because it's not at that level, and it probably won't get at that level for a very long time. But then it also creates a lot of new opportunities. There's like prompt engineering, AI ethicists, like different job roles that are just like they were nothing 5 years ago, and now they're like really good, really solid career paths as well. So I think there's more of that to come too. And yeah, I think the purpose, as long as the purpose remains like removing the like more mundane or like really dangerous tasks, as opposed to just taking over everything, then I think we don't have like too much to worry about. And
Yeah.
like the right teams are in place as well. Like it's diverse, the testing is in place, and the products are being made by diverse teams. So the bias is spotted earlier, because I think bias is more scary than AI taking jobs for certain.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel just because the world is changing, the ecosystem also is also changing. And there is need for newer ways of thinking. There is need for sustainability, and AI and robots are making, someone says that they just make us rest a bit.
Yeah,
Let them,
it's your life.
let them do the job, and we can think of creative jobs or creating jobs for ourselves. Rather than, I mean, if they can do some of those jobs and we can take some time to rest, our body will shape up. Something like that. But talking about ecosystem. So what are the long-term impact do you think Black Wings UK intends to have on the wider tech ecosystem? And how can the industry get involved? Someone somewhere in tech industry is hearing right now, or watching right now, or maybe watching later. How do you think Black Wings UK, Black Wings Global itself can have long-term impact? What are those long-term impacts it will have on the wider tech ecosystem, and how can the industry get involved? Listen.
Yeah, this is a good question. I think that in general, the vision is just to see more Black women in tech. If we want to break that down, one of those things can look like seeing more Black women in tech in the workforce. And I talked about this before, how there's two different versions of it. One, there are more employers that can hire Black women in tech. And so with rewriting the code, we have multiple corporate partners. And of course, we're new in the UK, and so we're looking to partner with more companies that are investing in women in tech in general. And I think, one, that builds the pipeline of bringing more women in tech into the workforce, but two, it also sheds light on those companies that are focused on investing in women. Because yeah, you can get a job and the environment is just not great and already stifles your growth. Or you can get into a company that supports you for the things that you bring to the table and everything, and you're able to grow in the way that you need to grow. And so one of the things in terms of like employers, it would be great to partner with more employers that are interested in this investment. So I think as much as it's an investment in us, it's also an investment in those companies themselves, but then in general, the larger tech ecosystem as well. We talked about before how important it is to have diverse teams and diverse voices as well. And so by that investment, you're going to get that. And yeah, I think it's going to benefit everyone that's involved.
Okay. So as an ambassador, Imisi, and I know we have another ambassador also in the house with you there. I don't know if she can also show up her face. Would you like her to show up her face?
Well, I think she's not here anymore.
Oh, okay. Okay. So so as an ambassador, what is your role in all of this?
In Black Wings or
Yes, in the Black Wings UK.
just anything that I can do to support like that, fostering that community, because we already have the numbers. So it's now like what we do with them, like how do we make them feel included? What type of things are we doing? Like how are we taking their needs into account? So providing support through like communicating with the members, like either on a one-on-one basis or like a more group setting, helping to like plan events that like have come from them. So it's like you taking that feedback and then transferring it into actually like actionable tasks that we can work on, and just like basically trying to foster that community would be my main thing. Also understanding the issues that they face as well, because like the issues Blessing and I mentioned, like this could just be the tip of the iceberg. Like we don't know all the issues that are being faced. We don't know the name. So trying to understand as well, like what issues they're facing. The issues could also be location specific. So you can find completely different issues in Scotland and completely different ones in England and so on. So trying to understand those issues as well, and not just understand them and be like, cool, get it, but actually try to address them as well, like see what we can do to help. And like it comes on a case by case basis. Like we might have to personalize like the help that they need, but just making sure they're heard, but also making sure that we're trying to do something about it as well. I think that would be my role as ambassador for Black Wings.
So, I mean, when I heard the word making sure they are heard,
Yeah,
it rings a bell. Today in this generation, everyone must be heard. I mean, that is key. So, but in terms of hearing and in terms of the next generation, what do you think will be your advice for young Black women, Black girls who are interested in entering the tech industry? Let me first hear from Imisi.
okay. In terms of advice, I guess I'll take it from like people who are entering the tech industry as like early career. And one thing I would say is definitely try to like take charge of your career, because something that they don't tell you is it's not very structured and no one's gonna tell you what to do for your career. Like as you start it, you kind of have to make those plans yourself, and not just make the plan, but also review them often. And like all your plans and your goals, you need to like look at them every so often. Just try not to like remain complacent and be like, okay, I'm here, that's fine. Like try and think, okay, am I still working towards what I want to do, where I want to be? That kind of thing. Another thing is like try and build a strong network around you, whether that's in a community like for Black Wings, or like it's through mentorship. Just trying to have people around you that you trust that can champion you as well, because I don't think anyone has gotten to where they are alone. And I like if you do, then kudos to you, but it's going to be a lot harder. So you might as well like try and build that like strong support network around you. And then the last thing I would say is imposter syndrome is something that happens to everyone. So I'd try and recognize how that reflects itself on you and like what that looks like for you, and then see how you can combat it. So when you find yourself falling into those thought patterns, come up with ways that you can help yourself get out of it, and stay motivated, stay like believing that you belong, because you definitely do.
So, Blessing, in terms of still in the light or in line with that question, how do you think immigrants who are also of Black heritage, Africans, could, I mean, what advice would you be giving them? There are quite a number of young cohorts of young ladies, young girls coming out right now. I mean, the influx and the movements of people from Africa down to UK, Europe, US. How do you think, what would be your advice, especially for those who are interested in going to the tech industry? I feel, let me just clear this. I feel their experiences are quite different from those who are, I mean, it's another layer of experience. You are UK based, or you are born in the host country, you are Black is different. But you are not born, you are Black. And immigrant is another layer. What do you think? How do you, what would be your advice, especially for young Black girls and ladies, and probably touch points even for those who are in Africa themselves? Okay.
So it's a great question for two reasons. One, because I think with Black Wings UK, we have a unique opportunity to tackle this issue of immigrants as well. Because what we find in the UK is that a lot of these members are international, they are immigrants. And so how do we make sure that as they come to the UK from their home country, that they're actually able to not just survive here, but thrive as well? Yeah. I think that's where exposing them to opportunities, helping them build a network, that's important, because those are all things that will help you make the connections to where you need to go and where you need to be. It's also interesting because I actually just wrote an article or a paper on Nigerian migrants that move to the UK or to the US and how they're able to add to the ecosystem there. And I talked about how there's a lot of, or I guess there's a lack of information out there about the realities of living in the US or living in the UK. And this is for many reasons. But how we can tackle it is by having honest conversations that, yes, okay, it's great to live abroad, but it's not like all that glitters is not gold, basically. And there are still things that you need to fight here, discriminations that you need to get through, challenges that you need to overcome that people won't tell you. And even if they tell you, you might not believe until you come here and experience it for yourself. And so I think that when it comes to tech and when it comes to being an immigrant, we know a lot of people that just in general, they are here, they've done their degrees, they have everything that they need to thrive in tech, but because of their visa status, they can't have the opportunity to thrive almost. And it's a shame, honestly, because that knowledge is almost just being wasted or it's being drained because they don't have that opportunity. And so the advice that I would give, even for people coming from their home country to the UK specifically, is to do your research. There are people that have come here, successfully completed their degree and found a job. Learn from them. Like, do your research online. Don't just come here and think that things are going to fall in your lap. But then I think the biggest thing, honestly, I would say is community, because at the end of the day, if you come here, you don't necessarily have family in this country. How else are you going to find things out, whether that's opportunities or resources or whatever it is, if you don't know people? And so when you're in a community, you almost make it easier for yourself, because this person will know something that you don't know. This other person will know something that you don't know. And as you talk about your problems, they will have like other people, you give other people the chance to give you the answers. But if you come here and you don't talk about what you're going through, then you'll stay in that situation. With Black Wings as well, we want to make sure that we have this environment where you can talk about if you're having difficulty at your workplace, or talk about the fact that you've been sending money back home, but you're barely surviving here. Those things that we'd like to tackle, because at the end of the day, that is also what makes you you. And being a Black woman in tech or being an immigrant in tech is not just about where you work or what you study, but everything else that makes you that person. And yeah, so that would be the advice that I would have, but definitely community is important, and it helps to actually push you further along in that journey as well.
I mean, you've nailed something that has been recurring in our conversation, community, and Imisi made mention about, I think, resilience and anything like that, that you need to have all of this work for you. Find yourself a community. Black Wings UK, it's a community that you can join. Listen, can you give us information about the official launch of Black Wings UK? Can I come as as a man? And how can people participate and support the initiative?
Yes, so we're so excited. Black Wings UK is launching at the end of October. We're launching via 2 different events. One, which is a mixer, so we're bringing people from across the UK to get to know each other, to learn from each other, to get to meet other people, other women in tech. And then we also have a soiree, a celebration of our culture, a celebration of just being a Black woman in tech. And so those 2 events will officially launch this community that is built for Black women in tech. And yeah, it's really exciting. As I mentioned, we have, I think, around 500 Black women so far, and we're hoping to continue to grow that number exponentially. And so if anyone here is listening and is a Black woman in tech or knows someone who is a Black woman in tech, they can join Black Wings. They can join Rewriting the Code as a member by just searching Rewriting the Code online, and there's an application that you can fill out, and yeah, join us.
Probably we can have that link and we can share it in our communities around here in Glasgow. And I know someone will be blessed with that, with the opportunities that Black Wings UK will be provided. So let me start from Imisi. What message do you want to convey to tech community and young women watching this right now? And fathers, before you go there, there's some comments on our YouTube platform, and Femi Oshoba is saying that it's really educative. Please keep it up. And also continue saying that nice seeing young ladies doing great in UK. Say thanks for fishing them out for us. It will serve as encouragement to our other young ladies not to relent in their pursuits in life. And Fatukitai said educative. And so please keep your comments coming. It will still be online. And we'll still hope to hear from you, comments from you. And so, what message do you want to convey to tech community and young men watching this?
Yeah, I think in terms of parting words, I would say just try to remain curious and keep being resilient, like in whatever you do, whether it's tech or just whatever you're passionate about. Try and find your community as well, because it really does help. It gives you some sort of strength, like being a part of something that you have like-minded people in, that you're working towards similar goals as well. There's a real strength in that. And when you do get into these tech spaces, just never be afraid to take up space there as well. Like, you definitely belong there, and yeah, just anything that you can get from that, go for it. As well.
Yeah, I think in the same light, I would say that, you know, there have been many spaces where I have been the only one, whether it's in an academic setting or corporate setting. But as much as it can deter you, try to use that as a motivation to stand out. You already stand out, so just turn it around for your good. And whilst you might feel, and whilst you might be the only one, just know that you don't have to go through things alone. As we mentioned, there's a community here within Black Wings that you can be a part of. But just in general, I think changing the narrative and taking control of that narrative, where yes, you might be the only one sitting at the table. So how are you going to represent? How are you going to stand out even more than you do, but in a way that you can make a name for yourself almost? So that's what I would say.
No, wow. Thank you so much. As we wrap up, today I use a tradition here, and my guest drops more like a drop mic moment. I hope you're ready. So who wants to go first?
Drop mic.
more like the word that you want to just live with our people, encouraging words for someone that, more like a quote. It could be a quote, it could be anything. I mean, I'll read one from Blessing for you at the end, which I'd actually adapted. Thanks to Blessing. Okay, so Imisi, let's hear you.
Honestly, the only one that came to mind was yesterday's history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. It's quite like, I don't know, it's quite commonly repeated. I think it was actually by a Nigerian as well. I can't remember his name. I want to say Babatunde something, but I can't remember. But I think it's always nice to hear, because though, like, if you like keep getting caught up on the past, like, it's going to be hard to move forward. But then if you're thinking and stressing too much about the future, it's going to hard to be like present in where you are. But the present that you have is really a gift, and it's something to be valued and something to like use to your benefit. So yeah.
Wow. I love the present is a gift. Unwrap it well.
Which that's a good extension of that one, unwrap it well.
Blessing.
I think in the theme that we've been talking about today, what the quote that I would say is that it takes a village. Of course, we might have heard that, it takes a village to raise a child and things like that. But something that I would add as well is that it also benefits the village. So yes, it takes a village as in to help you grow and everything like that. But as you grow, you're not just growing by yourself, you're pouring back into the village, you're bringing up other people that helped you. And so I think it's a continual process of, it takes community to do anything beneficial in this world. And so, yeah, we shouldn't despise small beginnings, but we also shouldn't despise community and the power of people around us.
Thank you so much, guys, for the work that you're doing. Comments on the YouTube page, like, thank you to the young guests. Doja Adeyolu is saying, well done, guys. So proud of the good work you are doing, and someone did like this to you. Thumbs up. And that's it for today. And I love this from Blessing. She said, the principle of perspective is best practiced by challenging assumptions and questioning standards. That's basically what we are doing, challenging our assumptions and questioning standards. And I hope our viewers today or our listeners today have something to challenge their assumptions. That irrespective of where you are, I say this often, as much as you are looking for a space or for a place, you will land in a space in life. Just keep looking for that place, and you will get to the space. Thank you, Blessing and Imisi, for coming to TouchPoint with Tayo today. And I want to thank all my Jambo Radio guys and the backroom guys. They're doing quite a number of research for the podcast and the social media team. Thank you so much. And thanks to the listener and audience. Thank you for joining us today and every week. And that is it for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, until next week, remember the words we say here. Life's journey unfolds uniquely. Run your race to attract grace. For it is only within race, the race that grace finds its way. I've been your host, Tayo Owe. Join me next week for another exciting episode on TouchPoint with Tayo. Until then, I wish you a